If you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, you enjoyed Shadows, you should actually take this information as a W. That means the next Assassin's Creed that they make will actually be good. And it'll focus on things that gamers want. And will probably have less bullshit because Tencent knows how to create a good game. They really do. Look at Larian Studios. They have a decent share of Larian Studios. Larian Studios makes good games. What did Tencent do when they bought a decent amount of Larian Studios and gave a lot of money for the development of Baldur's Gate 3? They did nothing. They said, Larian Studios, you already know how to make a good fucking game. You created a whole bunch of money with Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. You're not going to fuck this up. So, we're not going to mess with you. Make your game and give us some of the profit. We're, basically giving you a bit of investment for that reason. They did the exact same thing with From Software. From Software has made banger after fucking banger after banger. What did they do with From Software? When they were making Elden Ring, and From Software needed an injection of money in order to make Elden Ring, which was a gigantic undertaking. It's what amounts to a AAA game. What did they do? What did Tencent do? Nothing. They said, here's some money. We trust you. You've had banger after banger. Make your game. Give us some profit afterwards. That's it. There's no microtransaction bullshit in either Divinity Original Sin 1 or 2 or Baldur's Gate 3 or any From Software game, really. None. Very fair, good single-player games that are made well. Tencent knows how to produce a good single-player game by taking their hands off the wheel and letting people who know what they're doing do what they do. I would say, as someone, me, who loved Assassin's Creed way back and loved the high-quality bar of Assassin's Creed and bought Assassin's Creed like crazy in the beginning, from 1 through all 3 games of 2, Revelations and Brotherhood and all that, to Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag. Those are high-quality bars that I think Tencent wants to hit again because they know good single-player games sell very well. So guys, for anyone who has not been around, basically it's been a crazy day today. For the past week or so, a week or a couple of weeks now, we've had Assassin's Creed Shadows released, and the discussion for Assassin's Creed Shadows has been very polarizing. You've had everything from people saying that, oh, Assassin's Creed Shadows is racist and this and that, and as a result it deserves to be destroyed or whatever, which is obvious hyperbole, to the innumerable number of people that are either having nostalgia goggles on, or they're literal games journalists or Ubisoft partners, and as a result not giving the real discussion and real detail and acting like Assassin's Creed Shadows is the best thing since sliced bread. Obviously, the truth is somewhere in the middle, just like usual. Usually both sides of any conversation, any extreme, are extremes and thus not really worth listening to. But when it comes to gaming, when it comes to games like Ubisoft or sometimes Capcom or Nintendo or any large property, normally you, on social media especially, you only hear about the extremes. I'm here to give you the real deal. Assassin's Creed Shadows, while it needed to be an extremely high revenue property, a banger success, something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Division 1 or something like that, something like really, really, really gangbusters big in terms of release numbers, in terms of people buying it, in terms of people buying the microtransactions and everything like that in between, it needed to be something that big because of the depth and breadth of failure of Ubisoft for the past couple of years. It needed to be. And it was not. It is very clear that no matter what the games journalists have been saying, no matter what the huge content creators that are like big Ubisoft partners have been saying, the game is a middling success. It is not super good. It's not super bad. It's like, a lot of people have rated it a 6, a 7, 5 sometimes. And the number of sales have been very question mark, because pretty much the only numbers coming out of Ubisoft were the people playing the game, which and not the number of sales, which very clearly includes the people that are in the Ubisoft Plus program, the people that are getting it in bundle keys, the people that are getting it bundled with, graphics cards and operating systems and the computer itself. Dell a lot of times does these deals, and other major computer companies. So very much the numbers have been pretty skewed. Now, in the past, I have covered this game, and I've made a very, very great video, in my opinion. Of course, I'm very humble, about the desperation of Ubisoft and how big they needed this game to be. Assassin's Creed is Ubisoft's last chance. This was a discussion about the amount of sales that Ubisoft needed in order to not somehow change their company. I would never implied or said that they'd be going bankrupt. I don't think that's going to happen. That's obviously not happening. But I did say that a strong restructuring of some kind was going to happen if Ubisoft did not have gangbuster sales. It did not. And that is where we find ourselves today. Ubisoft has signed a deal, a major deal, something that'll change the face of Ubisoft gaming forever. And they've signed this deal with Tencent, and that happened literally today. So, ergo, no matter what people on either side were saying, this game is a failure, it's, no one's going to buy this game, blah, 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 that didn't happen. Or, oh man, everyone was wrong, the chuds are wrong. Ubisoft sold, millions and millions of copies of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and, Ubisoft is in good standing. That didn't happen either. Ubisoft has become desperate enough that they've gone to Daddy Tencent and created a subsidiary of Ubisoft in order to stay alive. That is what happened today. It is in hard detail. So let's start, guys. According to Jeff Keighley, right here, Ubisoft is spinning out Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six franchises into a new subsidiary. Basically, what amounts to, we don't know the name of it, but let's just call it, for simplicity's sake, Ubisoft 2. And this subsidiary is backed by Tencent, which is to the amount of 1.26, I think. I could be wrong on the exact detail. Slightly over $1 billion. So that is basically what amounts to Ubisoft 1, which has had every single Ubisoft game up to this point, now has had peeled off of it the 3 biggest properties: Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. And that is now in Ubisoft 2. They went to Tencent and they said, we're evaluating this company of Ubisoft 2. Again, it's not called Ubisoft 2. We're just calling it simplicity for this discussion because it's happened today. We don't know what the subsidiary's name is. Ubisoft 2 is valued at, because of the value of the properties of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, at around like $4 point something billion. And they wanted a chunk of money from Tencent. They said, give us, in this case, 1.26 billion, and we'll give you 25% of this new company. The reason I did this is very, very complicated, but very interesting. So for this, we'll go to their actual financial press release document. This is like their big document about what is going on. This is the meat and potatoes, guys. So I'll talk about this in general details, but I'll also include this document in the discussion below so you guys can read it yourself as well. But this is directly from Ubisoft. This is directly from Yves Guillemot, the head of Ubisoft. For anyone who doesn't know, the Guillemot family is the founding family of Ubisoft. Yves Guillemot and his family created Ubisoft many, many years ago, and they've been the heads of Ubisoft ever since the creation of Ubisoft. So a lot of the decision making has been at their feet, and a lot of the mistakes have also been due to them. To this end, years ago, this is just some, background storyline. Ubisoft went to Tencent many, many years ago and sold off a decent chunk of Ubisoft to Tencent, asking for more money, of which they got. That amount of money that they got from from Tencent, meant that Tencent had a share in Ubisoft, and as a result, had some controlling power. Not real controlling power, but they had a say. And it was very open that they wanted more. Tencent, owned by China, wants a lot more of the controlling value of Ubisoft. Ubisoft, owned by the Guillemot family, does not want to give them that power over their baby, Ubisoft. So, for the past several years, they've had this back and forth. This is for like the past, I think, 5 or so years? They basically had this back and forth with Ubisoft, where Tencent wanted more control, and Yves Guillemot wanted more money without giving control to Ubisoft. To Tencent, which amounted to a stalemate. Because of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and because of the very high expectations and need for Shadows to be a runaway Valhalla-leveled success. For anyone who doesn't know, Assassin's Creed Valhalla made over $1 billion freaking dollars for Ubisoft. It came out during the pandemic. It was a large open world that, people could sink their teeth into, and, Vikings were huge back then. The Vikings Valhalla show was out, and there's 4 different Viking shows out. And so Vikings were really, really in the know, and people were really, really into Vikings at the time. So a lot of people bought Assassin's Creed Valhalla to the tune of $1 billion freaking dollars. That kept Ubisoft afloat for a very long time. But in the meantime, we've had, let's bring it up. Ubisoft game releases 2024. Let's do that. So in the past year, we've had Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, which, while a decent game, was a commercial relative failure. We've had Skull and Bones, which was a commercial and critical massive failure. X-Defiant, which is a live service game which is shut down. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, which is a absolutely horrific loss of money, even though it was a relatively okay game, but not great. And then Star Wars Outlaw, which was a critical and commercial massive failure to the tunes of over $100 million of loss. So we've had 4 massive losses in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, decent, okay success, but not really nearly enough profit for what they expected. Mainly because while Prince of Persia was a good game, it was priced at, I think, $60? And it should have been, it's a Metroidvania game, it should have been $35 to $40 at the very, very most. And then Assassin's Creed Shadows, which has come out now. And now the numbers for Assassin's Creed Shadows has been in a relative question. We've had all kinds of differing numbers. So, for example, we'll go to here, PC Gamer. Over the past week, PC Gamer and many other gaming journalism companies have released different various numbers, including Assassin's Creed themselves. And but one thing that you have to be noticing is that anytime you look at official numbers for Assassin's Creed, you have not found sales numbers. Every single time Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed, or PC Gamer or IGN, or whoever the hell is reporting on Assassin's Creed Shadows, they've only given the numbers for 3 million players. Well, first of all, 1 million players, then when it hit the milestone for 2 million, and now for 3 million. There's a reason for this. There is a reason for this. It's because 3 million people have not bought the game for Assassin's Creed Shadows. A lot of the people who are playing Assassin's Creed Shadows have either gotten it via a bundle, like I said, or many more so through Ubisoft Plus. Many of my friends that are playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, they didn't want to spend $70 or $120 for early access for Assassin's Creed Shadows. They bought it via Ubisoft Plus in terms of they can spend, what is it, $17, $20? I don't remember the exact amount. Let's find out. 1 month of Ubisoft Plus cost $17.99 a month. So the people that, you know, are playing this through Ubisoft Plus, instead of buying a $70 game, spend $18 to be able to play through the entirety of the game for less than 1 month. That is how a lot of people are playing it. And obviously, those numbers are not numbers that Ubisoft wants to share. So they keep sharing the information that there's over 1 million players, 2 million players, and now 3 million players. Obfuscation going awry and obfuscation happening on social media basically doesn't mean anything, which is why we are in the situation that we're at. Ubisoft did not get the sales they wanted, and as a result, they have to sell off a giant chunk of their company in order to survive. They have to beg for money from Tencent in order to survive. This is gigantic news. This is gigantic news. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, I work in business. This is my day job. I work in business. We do a lot of business consulting. And while my business consulting is in mostly the realm of engineering and construction management and emerging tech, I, know a lot about business in general. And so I'm a relatively decent authority, at least far more so than fucking PC Gamer. And I can tell you the real story of what this company has done and why they did it and how they did it. And the reason is very, very simple. Like I said, they had a stalemate with Tencent, and in order to preserve original Ubisoft, they created what amounts to an escape pod, and that is the escape pod of Ubisoft 2. And Ubisoft 2 does a few different things here. Ubisoft 2, like I said, has the controlling power of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, which are their 3 biggest properties. Not only that, as a result of having the escape pod of Ubisoft 2, you have a brand new $4-ish billion value company with an injection of $1.25 billion, 25%, that's 25% share that Tencent has in Ubisoft 2 as of now. Injection of cash. Not only that, all of the debts, all of the loans, all of the issues that Ubisoft 1 has is not part of Ubisoft 2. Ubisoft 2 is a newborn baby. And as a result, Ubisoft can get more money against Ubisoft 2. If you look at the details here, one of the conditions of the transaction here is that for a 5-year period, the new shares, it says it right here, the new shares of Ubisoft 2 are not stuck. They can sell it to other companies if they need. Here, let me zoom in for you guys. Let's zoom in even more. So Tencent owns 25% of Ubisoft 2. That cannot be touched. However, other parts of Ubisoft 2 can be bought and sold or used however Ubisoft 2 and the Guillemot family sees fit for the rest of the 75%. And rumor has it, now this is just a rumor, but this is pretty strong rumor, that, the Guillemot family is kind of shopping around to larger companies like Microsoft and Sony and others to sell smaller shares of Ubisoft 2 to get even more money. By the way, So this is a big reason why they did this. This is a big reason why they did this. And not only that, by the way, guys, not only that, there's a whole bunch of messages sent by the Guillemons about what's going on, but we're going to translate it because I hate corpo speak. Corpo speak annoys me. And one thing that you all need to know is if you're wondering about all of the parts of Ubisoft that are not Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six, you should be thinking about it. What does this mean for the rest of the properties owned by Ubisoft One that is encumbered by all these debts and all these issues and all these, previous shares sold and so on and so forth, in what amounts to a very, very embattled company of Ubisoft One in this case? What happens to those? Very simple, guys. Right now, how many people are working at Ubisoft? Let's Google this. How many people work at Ubisoft total? $19,000 people. This is a gigantic team and really way too large for just those three properties. Tencent is many things. Tencent has a hand in many, many different companies. Whether it's, a large portion of Riot Games, whether it is actually it's a controlling portion of Riot Games, if I'm not mistaken, whether it's a decent portion of From Software, a smaller portion, but still a significant amount of Larian Studios, and so on and so forth. They have many shares in most game companies, frankly. Many, many game companies. Yeah, Bishu, you called it. What this means is Tencent is very aggressive when it comes to making money and saving money, much more so than Ubisoft is. Ubisoft is very, very strong about, making terrible monetization for you or me or, any normal gamer. But one thing that they've not done is really lay off the teams that don't really make shit anymore at their company. Anyone who is not involved. Now anyone who is involved in these three properties need to worry as well. But so let's rewind. If you're working at Ubisoft and you're in the Assassin's Creed team or the Far Cry team or the Rainbow Six team, you're relatively okay. There's going to be a long period of the next year of restructuring where those teams are moved over from Ubisoft 1 to Ubisoft 2, and they're starting to work on new games and so on and so forth. And because Ubisoft 2 will take over all the games that are in progress for all three of these largest properties of Ubisoft. So if you're in these three teams, you're relatively safe. Now, there's going to be some layoffs here and there, but it's whatever. However, the 19,000 employees, a significant chunk of them, are not in Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, or Rainbow Six. We have all kinds of other games. We got Watch Dogs. We got, Division. We got, there's a Prince of Persia. We got all kinds of other major games at Ubisoft. Small, middling, and larger. Not as large as these three, but quite large. Those teams are going to get absolutely shredded. I want you to know that in 1 year, this number of 19,000 employees is going to be literally shredded. Because everything right now with Ubisoft One is going to be made weaker. Ubisoft One has been carried by Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. Those are now gone. That means Ubisoft One is weaker as a whole because the big money bringers are gone. Ubisoft One is going to have massive employee layoffs, and the main teams will also have some as well. So yeah, huge layoffs, Bishu. Huge layoffs. What else does this mean? This means that every single person who acted like Ubisoft was having a massive success, there was the big meme where Ubisoft, clapped back and everyone on Twitter cheered. because Ubisoft clapped back at Elon Musk and Grums, who, by the way, I'm not a fan of either of them. But, you know, it clapped back at both of them and had like a massive ratio to the level of 500,000 likes or whatever. It didn't mean anything. Because really, the only thing that matters to Tencent, the only thing that matters to Ubisoft, and the only thing that matters to any real company is sales. No clapback will amount to real sales. And it didn't. Everyone was worried about the clapback or not worried, cheering about the clapback and everything like that. That didn't translate to, you know, millions of people buying Ubisoft and, buying Assassin's Creed in the past day. No one bought the game for that fucking reason. Everyone who had an opinion about either Ubisoft or Grums or Elon Musk retained that opinion after the clapback. It didn't result in any sales. It didn't result in anyone getting, you know, exorbitantly pissed off. Everyone has the same opinion before and after that event. So as a result, the relative success of Assassin's Creed Shadows stayed the exact same. I want everyone to think about the people that reported on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Every single games journalist company like PC Gamer or IGN or, you know, let's just go to the Metacritic scores. I want you to look at the Metascore of critic reviews versus the user score of actual reviews, of actual players. You can go to Steam and do the same thing. What does this mean? This means that you've had companies and content creators, especially as well, this content creators are very much a part of this, that have fucking lied to you and lied to everyone about the quality of the game. People giving 100% to a single player game with microtransactions, which has copy-pasted content for much of the content in Assassin's Creed Shadows. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Absolute dog shit. Everyone who gave this game a 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 is lying to you. 8 out of 10 is relatively okay, but this game really deserves a 7, 6, or 5. Everyone who gave a 7, 6, or 5 gave a relatively good answer. Anyone who gave a 1, by the way, all these super negative ratings, 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, that's crazy as well. The game is not a 1, and the game is not a 10. So I want you to look at any content creator or games journalist that you listen to. See this review score of this game. Did they give a 10, 9, 8, 4, 3, 2, or 1? If so, never look at the reviews again because they didn't give you a fucking real review. Okay? Are these all confirmed purchases? No, if you want to go to confirmed purchases, you have got to use a different website. So that is an issue with Metacritic. It's always been an issue with Metacritic, but it's never been an issue of Metacritic to the point that it actually changes the skew of what is going on with the actual company. Very good question, Scaleless. But what does that mean? If a game is a 6.0 on Assassin's Creed Shadows, for example, it's not really being review bombed. It is translating to a relative parity with sales. Not a complete parity. Of course, there's going to be, times where that number does not exactly match, and it probably doesn't exactly match here. But it is a relative parity. What that means is the game here is considered a middling success. 6 out of 10, I think, is a fair score. It's not a great game. It's not a terrible game. It's middling. The sales were middling. They needed a game that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla selling. And I cover why here. Because they were so underwater, the game costed what amounts to $350 million to $450 million to make. That's a lot of money. That means they needed around 6 to 7 to 8 million copies sold in order to turn a real profit. I cover that those numbers in great detail in this video right here, of which people really hated. I got a lot of DMs, people like literally calling me slurs because I wasn't willing to eat dicks about Ubisoft and I instead had the gall to give real information. Shocker, I know, but I'll just give it to you straight. But yeah, so basically, it did not hit the sales numbers it needed because it was a middling game. It hit decent sales numbers, and a lot of people thought it was going to super bomb, which is where you get a lot of the new ones and everything like that. Those people were incorrect. You'll see people like Smash JT or Endymion or whatever, which create like, oh yeah, this game is woke and that's why it failed. No one gives a fuck about whether this game is woke or not. And by that I mean no one who's a real gamer. No real gamer, no person that is buying a Ubisoft game or a play Assassin's Creed and be an assassin and be a samurai and be a ninja and do like cool shit cares about Yasuke being black. They don't care. No one cares. I don't care. Probably you don't care. Most people don't care. Some do, but most people really, at its core, do not care. Is it a little annoying? Yes. Is it a little weird that and like cash grabby feeling that they made Yasuke black in order to sell more copies and be like, hey, we're like so fucking woke, bro, and you should like us because we're on the right side of history and stuff. You've had developers say that. They've literally said that, and it's become an issue and stuff like that. But really, that didn't make a bad game good or a good game bad. Never. What really people care about is the gameplay. And at its core, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a middling game that did nothing particularly super well. It was pretty, but besides that, it didn't do anything super well. And it didn't do anything terribly either. It's not really a 1 out of 10 game. It's not a 2 out of 10 game. It's not a 3 out of 10 game. It's a decent game. It's just not that great. Like, why would you ever play Shadows over Tsushima? Why would you ever play Shadows over Rise of the Ronin? There's no real reason to. It's not really that amazing. And as a result, it didn't move copies. It didn't sell the 6 to 7 million copies that it really needed to. People are sometimes yelling at me on Twitter because I'm on Twitter actively, and people on Twitter, of course, are sucking big Ubisoft dick, and they're like, well, it still sold 3 million. First of all, it didn't. It 3 million players, not 3 million sales, and beyond that, that is about half the money it needed to make in order to even start to turn a profit. It needs to make much more than that, and it's not even close to that. The real issue here, though, is, guys, that a middling game with single-player microtransactions, you can pay for power, you can pay for gold, you can pay for resources, and that screws up the actual balanced development of the game. And not only that, much of the game is copy-pasted. You fight the same enemies from beginning to the end of the game. You do the same combat from beginning to the end of the game. All the mechanics are the same from the beginning to the end of the game. All the items are the same for, besides numbers going up from beginning to the end of the game. These are major issues with Odyssey, with Origins, and Valhalla, and this is an issue with this game as well. People will like a mid-game, and if they're like really into the vibe of the game, or if they're like, they had a good experience with Naue, and they're like really super hyped about the fact that the stealth is quite a bit better than it has been for the past 2 games, then sure, maybe they'll rate it a bit higher. But I genuinely don't think most of the reviews that give the game an 8, 9, or a 10 are anything but, nostalgia goggles or whatever. It's not going to be the base experience of a player. And it shows because the game didn't sell. People weren't paying on monthly. Oh, I got you, Hillycuse. I misunderstood. So what Hillycuse asked was, are people rating the game higher than relatively normal on Steam, because it's pretty positive on Steam, because a lot of people are playing it through Ubisoft Plus. And because they're playing it through Ubisoft Plus, they're only spending $17. So if you pay, $18, $17.99. If you're playing Assassin's Creed Shadows for $18, you're like, for $18 is a pretty good game. Is that what you're asking, Hillycuse? Because if so, yes. If I played Assassin's Creed Shadows just through Ubisoft Plus for $18, I'd think for $18 is pretty good fucking value. However, that's not what they wanted to make out of the game, Ubisoft. They are trying to sell the game at a $70 price point. and it's not nearly selling enough $70 copies. Is that what you're asking, Hillykeys? Did I understand that right? Is there any data on the revenue that they got at launch compared to the revenue the first time they do it at a discount? There's very little revenue information. And here's the thing. Look at any game over the past year. Let's just stick with contemporaries. Look at any game over the past year, any major release, and look at the numbers that they release. If they're happy about the sale of a game, they will say, we sold 1 million copies. We sold 2 million copies in 2 days. We sold this many. Case in point, look at Capcom with Monster Hunter Wilds just 1 month ago. Look at 1 month prior to that, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. They sold a grand total of, what is it? For Monster Hunter Wilds, they sold over 8 million copies of the game. They told you that readily because they have those numbers. Every company that is selling a game has those numbers readily available immediately, by the way. They get the record because they're making the money directly for every single copy of the game that they sell. They have those numbers internally. They're fucking, wanking each other off happily for every single sale that they make, as they should. So, yeah. Angry by default. Hell, if you pay me $18, I would play Shadows too. Yeah, exactly. You cannot really find revenue numbers for Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I think that is super telling. Do you know why? Because if they actually sold many copies of Shadows, they'd announce it to everyone. Holy shit, in 2 weeks, week and a half, we have sold 4 million copies of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Though that would be a very high number. That would be a good number. They didn't sell even remotely close to that. And it's very, very clear. They're only talking about the number of people playing the game. Always understand the subtext of what people say and why. Now, I wanted to take a step back for just a moment and go back to this part, which is the letter by Yves Guillemot to the Ubisoft family. This is their official documentation, by the way. This is their official documentation. And the reason is that this is some of the craziest part. This is some serious level of what's it called? Corpo bullshit talk. Corpo bullshit talk. That was the term I was looking for. And what you need to know is that here, let me bring it up. Do I have it here? Tom Henderson is the guy I'm looking for. Tom Henderson is a games journalist that is quite I guess what I'm looking for is apt. Tom Henderson. Do you see how they tried to hide the Steam numbers? I did not really see that, but I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. So Tom Henderson is a member of Insider Gaming. Pretty darn decent information that they give. I'll link this article in the comments below as well because I'm going to be responding and talking about the corpo speak that Yves Guillemot, the head of Ubisoft, is having in the internal memo released to Ubisoft employees, to Tencent employees that he got. So this is some huge information. People ask me about whether they'd be layoffs and everything like that. This is where you find the answer. So he gives the breakdown as well, and I will link his breakdown. His breakdown is decent. But the real meat and potatoes is this. Marie-Sophie, who is the chief of studios and portfolio officer, a very big higher up of Ubisoft, has given a major statement. What does this mean? This is a whole bunch of corpo speak, and I'm going to translate that corpo speak. I wrote some notes down. Give me a moment. Let me pull those notes on my other screen. So basically, what amounts to, they say, hello everyone. I wanted to follow up immediately with all of you in all of our places. They have multiple places all around the world. Sofia, Barcelona, Quebec, Montreal and Quebec account for like 4,000 people that work at Ubisoft. First and foremost, I wanted to emphasize the agreement that we announced as a powerful enabler and an exciting opportunity for Ubisoft. What does that mean, guys? This is corpo speak for the higher-ups at Ubisoft have avoided losing money. They have gotten richer by this entire situation because they created Ubisoft 2 and jettisoned all their debt for most of their 3 most prized properties, most profitable properties, and they were able to create a brand new company and get a $1.25 billion injection of money. Tencent's investment is a strong testament to the trust in our ability to grow Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. What does this mean? This is corpo talk for Tencent cares about Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six because these are our best properties. These are our most profitable properties, and they don't give a shit about any of our other companies or other properties in Ubisoft because none of that shit makes money. And Tencent, for all of their faults, of which there are many, for example, $500 Ari skins for League of Legends and many other issues, fact that they're, literally the media arm of the Chinese government, for all their faults, one thing that they're really fucking good at is making money and knowing what properties in a company are valuable and which ones are dog shit. This is a direct result of the incredible work you've done making these franchises iconic. These are the only ones that work, and that's why we're selling those. That's why we're focused on these. I also want to be clear. If you're not working on these brands, it doesn't mean your work matters any less. This is corpo speak for, I know you're worried, you have every right to be, update your fucking resume. That's what that means. This agreement will benefit all of Ubisoft. It will not. Giving us the means to spark more innovation and creativity across the board. This means that they're going to, with these 3 different properties, create spin-offs. They're going to create spin-offs. They're going to create subsidiary brands. They're probably going to have like a Chinese version of, many of these things. They might have a gacha game coming out for Assassin's Creed or whatever, Rainbow Six or whatever. They're going to do all those things. Lots of innovation, lots of ways to make more money via those games. However, Tencent will also very much focus on making single-player games again. Like this, they're going to do that too because they know what works. Tencent is no fool. Look at okay. We got some Tencent haters, which is totally fair. I'm not a Tencent lover either, but I want to make it very clear. Yeah, Assassin's Creed waifus, exactly. If you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, you enjoyed Shadows, you should actually take this information as a W. That means the next Assassin's Creed that they make will actually be good. And it'll focus on things that gamers want. And will probably have less bullshit because Tencent knows how to create a good game. They really do. Look at Larian Studios. They have a decent share of Larian Studios. Larian Studios makes good games. What did Tencent do when they bought a decent amount of Larian Studios and gave a lot of money for the development of Baldur's Gate 3? What did they do, chat? What did they do? They did nothing. They said, Larian Studios, you already know how to make a good fucking game. You created a whole bunch of money with Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. You're not going to fuck this up. So, we're not going to mess with you. Make your game and give us some of the profit. We're, basically giving you a bit of investment for that reason. They did the exact same thing with From Software. From Software has made banger after fucking banger after fucking banger. What did they do with From Software? When they were making Elden Ring, and From Software needed an injection of money in order to make Elden Ring, which was a gigantic fucking undertaking. It's what amounts to a AAA game. What did they do? What did Tencent do? Nothing. They said, here's some money. We trust you. You've had banger after banger. Make your game. Give us some profit afterwards. That's it. There's no microtransaction bullshit in either Divinity Original Sin 1 or 2 or Baldur's Gate 3 or any From Software game, really. None. Very fair, good single-player games that are made well. Tencent knows how to produce a good single-player game by taking their hands off the wheel and letting people who know what they're doing do what they do. I would say, as someone, me, who loved Assassin's Creed way back and loved the high-quality bar of Assassin's Creed and bought Assassin's Creed like crazy in the beginning, from 1 through all 3 games of 2, Revelations and Brotherhood and all that, to Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag. Those are high-quality bars that I think Tencent wants to hit again, because they know good single-player games sell very well. Now, that doesn't mean that they're willing to put up with bullshit. Tencent does not want to have a single-player failure, and anytime they do have a single-player failure, they destroy whatever had the single-player failure. Case in point, Riot Forge. Tencent completely owns Riot Games, who makes League of Legends. Now, one thing that they did, Riot Games, was they created something called Riot Forge, which created a whole bunch of smaller games. There was a game about Nunu. It was like a kind of like a cozy simulator style game. Timo. Timo is a cozy simulator. It's like a Yordle one. They made what amounted to an action roguelike with Silas. They made Blade of the Ruined King, which is actually a decent turn-based RPG. None of those games were commercial successes, even though they're relatively okay and relatively decently made, and some of them were better than others. Blade of the Ruined King was actually a really good RPG game. As a result of the lack of selling for those games, Riot Games, by Tencent, was forced to absolutely bring down the hatchet and kill Riot Forge completely. We don't have a Riot Forge anymore. Tencent saw it didn't make money, it's gone. If there's any aspect of these companies that don't make a lot of money, they're gone. That is what all of this means. Tencent knows how to make money. Okay, next question. I'm curious what they're going to do with the QA studios, since AC Division and Far Cry were all tested in Bucharest, but the IPs are under Tencent now. Tencent knows how to, make sure users are happy. And so if Far Cry, Division is no longer, like, Pugsy. Division is not in these 3 games. Division is not a subsidiary of Rainbow Six. So Division is probably fucking dead, by the way. Like, Division is literally, like... If you're working at the Division, guys, update your resumes. Like, is bad news bears, bro. It's so bad. Ooh, yeah, Division is gone. I don't expect Division... Because, like, remember, they had the major thing of Division 3. We had a friend in here of the community asking about Division 3. Division 3 had, like, all work stopped on it, like, last year or something like that. I can tell you that if a game property is doing well and has made a good game, Tencent will not step in and fire QA staff for no reason. However, if a game company is not doing well or is not making enough profits or something like that, they will cut staff. They have not hesitated to do that in the past for any company that they've worked with. However, for example, let's take, again, From Software or Larian. Neither of those 2 companies have had layoffs for any of their QA staff or anything like that. Why is that? Because those games are making money. League of Legends is having some issues here and there. And as a result of the cost of Arcane and the cost of other things, they fired their QA staff and a massive amount, and it's really negatively affected Riot Games. Now, is that a misstep from Tencent? I think partially, but also Riot Games' upper management saying that, we don't need people to work here nearly as much. It'll be a way to make the line go up and save money. Apparently, I got a drop as well. Whoops. Tencent closed a few small studios last year that were not making money. Exactly, yeah. If you're under the Tencent umbrella and they have a controlling share and you're not making a game that is making money, you are done. Like, they have no qualms about absolutely eviscerating you. If you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, or Rainbow Six, this is all a W, by the way. Because Ubisoft has mishandled all of these games and all of their own games. Like, as in the other games, like, Skull and Bones and Star Wars Outlaws and, all of Division and everything else under the giant Ubisoft umbrella. It's a huge company, 18,000 people, 19,000 people. So if you're a fan of these three games and you feel the games have not been going in the right direction, you are going to see a change in that direction to make better games. Tencent will make sure of it because they just gave $1.26 extra billion to Ubisoft in order to do this subsidiary, sorry, I pronounced that incorrectly. Subsidiary company. And as a result, they want to make that money back. They want to make sure that investment is worth it. And like I said very clearly, Tencent is many things, but they know how to make money. They really do. So, where were we? I want to be clear, if you're not working these brands, it doesn't mean your work matters any less. It absolutely does. Agreement will benefit all of Ubisoft. Absolutely not. This marks the beginning of a new chapter, and you're playing a vital role in shaping it. You're playing a vital role by being fired if you don't work at any of those three major properties, or having a high chance of being fired. Not everyone who works at the division will be fired, but a chunk will. Not everyone who works on Star Wars Outlaws will be fired, but a bunch will. In the coming weeks and months, we'll work hard to build the best organization possible for Ubisoft, our teams, and for our players. What does that mean? This is a big one. We'll work hard to restructure our entire organization to get rid of anything not making money and make sure the teams working on things that are making money will be buffed up. They're going to buff up the teams making money, and they'll be getting rid of the shit that doesn't make any money. It's that simple. This is corpo speak for if you're working at Assassin's Creed, you're relatively okay. If you're not an extraneous part of it. And if you're working at, Star Wars Outlaws, good fucking luck. Update your resume. That's what that means. Reorganization, completely, 100%, without a doubt, inbound. From the 19,000 people, I would estimate over the next year, you're going to at least see 2,000, 3,000 people get fired. Absolutely not even close. Maybe more. But I don't know how big the teams are for smaller games. Of course, this brings some uncertainty and questions. This means you are right to be questioning. Update your resume. Right now, we may not have all the detailed answers, but we are committed to communicating with you transparently and regularly. That's fair. Supporting you through this transition is a top priority for your local and global leadership teams. That means I am trying to be transparent here, so when I fire you, you can't sue me. That is what this sentence means. I work in business. I've dealt with companies doing this exact shit. That's what this sentence means. Don't hesitate to reach out to them, not me, and stay tuned locally. Usually dedicated studio times will also be good forums to keep you updated and answer your questions and announce our massive layoffs. There you go, guys. That is the translation of all the corpo speak here. Gaming industry is crazy, TBH. Guys, it's only crazy if you're on a team or in a game that's not making money. I'm sorry, that's what it is. If you're in a team that is making a game that actually makes money, you don't have to worry. Not really. Sometimes you do, but not really. I mean, sometimes you'll have an issue where you're working on the company that makes League of Legends. And you have a CEO like Dylan Jadeja. Sorry, I always pronounce his name wrong. And Dylan Jadeja, oh my God, I fucking hate LinkedIn, bro. Dylan Jadeja, Google search. Let's go to his, not LinkedIn. Let's go to his wiki. This is another company that is owned by Tencent, which is why I'm bringing it up. So, Dylan Jadeja was the chief financial officer of Riot Games for many years. Before that, he worked at Goldman Sachs. So if you have a guy like this at the head of your company, he's going to make corpo bullshit line go up decisions, even if it hurts the actual making of the game. If you're in that situation, Pugsy, absolutely, the games industry sucks. Even if you're working well, doing good, you're going to get fired, or you have the chance to get fired. Case in point, Dylan Jadija, I keep pronouncing that name wrong, fired the best artists at Riot Games. Literally 35 to 40 of the best artists were fired at Riot Games last year. And now they make AI dogshit bullshit, or they sub out the making of their skins to much less equipped and motivated and paid what is it called, contractors to make their skins, which is why all their skins fucking suck dick now. And then they worry about, like, why are people not buying skins? Is because you're making dog shit. So if you have a dog shit CEO, even in a good game, you have issues. But if you have a bad game, you very much have issues. If you have decent leadership and you have a decent game that is making good money, you don't have to worry. Which is most games. Most games don't really have to worry too much because they're making good games. Any good game doesn't really have to worry too much unless you have an outlier like Riot Games. That's the issue. Yves Guillemot should have retired and sold Ubisoft a long time ago. Well, unironically, you're absolutely correct. Now, this brings up a really good point. Guys, why is Ubisoft doing this? Ubisoft value. This is why. The reason they're doing this is because this is a very bad graph. And let me tell you, if you post this graph on Twitter, you're going to have a lot of people upset at you. How do I know this? Because I literally cannot open my private messages on Twitter. Why? Because I will always say it how it is. I'm not mean. I never advocate for harassing devs. I always hate that shit. Never harass devs. However, if Ubisoft does some bullshit, I'm going to say Ubisoft has done some bullshit. Or if Ubisoft is putting microtransactions in a single player game, I'm going to call it out or whatever. So when I post this graph, and I've done it before and I'll do it again because it's a very funny graph, you have basically gone for a valuation from Ubisoft in 4 years. 2021, it was at a peak. Was it the full peak? Second peak. That's fine. So almost the entire peak of $20. $20 is a good, like a big number peak for Ubisoft. In 4 years, it dropped down to $2 to now $3. That is a drop of like fucking 1,000%. That is a 1,000% drop. That is fucking crazy. That is like an astronomical drop. So no matter if Ubisoft owned the chuds by having a 500,000 liked tweet for, you know, making fun of Elon Musk and Grums, who I'm not a fan of either of them. I really think both of them are idiots. No matter that they did that, it doesn't fucking matter because they're not actually making good games or selling good games. The scale is tragic, exactly. But if you post this on Twitter, you're going to get a whole lot of upset people that don't actually play Ubisoft games yelling at you for, you know, no reason. I don't really understand why people defend Ubisoft. The fact that people have defended Ubisoft so much is why they're in this state. They've been allowed and enabled by the gaming community to release dog shit after 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 dog shit. And now they've been put in the dirt to the point that they've had to make an escape pod using very, very clever corporate financing. And I don't have a degree in corporate financing, but I work in the business world. And so if I ever, you know, got my MBA, I could probably get my degree in corporate financing. I've worked in it so much. I know exactly what they're doing. I've described exactly what they're doing with the escape pod. I've tried to make it like, you know, much more, what's it called? Layman's terms for you guys, for anyone not in the business world to be able to understand it. I hope I've done a good job. If I have, please let me know. If I've not, definitely let me know as well. I try to keep it like as not corpo speak as possible. They're really smart with this move. This was unironically, Pugsy, the only move they could possibly make. So the Guillemot family, like I said, this was a tug of war between the Guillemots family and the and Tencent. And Tencent wanted more power for the money that they spent. They wanted to spend less money, more power. Guillemots want more money from Tencent with as little power given to Tencent as possible. This was the only possible move. The only move which could give both parties somewhat something that they wanted. Which is why, by the way, the line has gone up over the past month. Not much, but a relative amount, because this was a very smart corporate move. Absolutely. Absolutely very smart corporate move over the past couple of weeks. Thieves and shareholders are still getting their part without having to give a fuck more about their games. No. Well, I understand what you're saying in general, and in general, you're relatively correct. However, they very much care about their games because they do want to make more money off of this. So, now, if the Guillemot family decided to give up all of their properties right now for $4 billion, they sold not 25% of Ubisoft 2, they sold 100%, then you'd be completely correct. Then they don't care anymore. All the slack is on Tencent. They sold all their shares. They're just chilling, getting management money if that's the part of their corporation deal, which and I would assume would be so they can get paid twice, which many CEOs do. And they could, not really have to worry about the issues of the company and just, make their money. If they sold 100%, you'd be right. They only sold 25. Why? Because they value, let me go back to the list. Get some water. They have valued Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six at $4.6-ish billion. They sold 25% of that 4.6 to Tencent for 1/4 of that money. 1/4 of the value, 1/4 of the money. That means they're valuing, they think, with the $1.26 billion infusion of money from Tencent, they can make a profit and make Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six Siege worth more than it is right now. So they very much care about the value of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six and making that value go up. So they can sell at some point at the end if they want to sell more and get more money out of it later on. If they thought they could do no better right now, they would sell 100% of the company right now. That's what it is. Rainbow Siege is going free to play. That's a bold move. We'll see how that works for them, Cotton. Because I can tell you right now, a lot of Rainbow Six Siege players are very unhappy with how the monetization for Rainbow Six Siege is. It's really funny because if we go back, I actually made a video about this. Let me go to my YouTube. And I don't remember exactly when it was. Was it 6 months ago? Was it 8? Let me check. People were very upsetty spaghetti about Rainbow Six Siege. Whoa! 9 months ago. 9 months ago, I made a video about Rainbow Six Siege and how players of Rainbow Six Siege and fans of the game were literally booing Ubisoft at Rainbow Six Siege events. They were so fucking pissed. And the reason was, at least 9 months ago, I don't know how things have changed. So 9 months ago, Rainbow Six Siege decided to add even more monetization to the game. And I did the math and I figured out that Rainbow Six Siege is one of those rare games which has every single form of monetization possible. They have loot boxes of, cosmetics and stuff. They have buy loot boxes. They have pay for power because you can buy heroes and such like that. They have a subscription fee. They have the fee to buy the game. They had all of them. It's so hard to find a game that has every single form of monetization. It's so hard to find. It's like a perfect storm of shit. A perfect shit storm. It is insane. And 9 months ago, dude, players of Rainbow Six Siege were fucking pissed, man. They were booing people on stage at Ubisoft, bro. It was crazy. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, man. One of the funniest things. Rainbow Siege X. I don't know what Siege X is, my friend. Is that the new thing? The new season of it? If they've improved since then, I hope so, because that was like an alarm bell. And I said in that video, Zari Safari, that was a huge alarm bell for Ubisoft. I really hope they listen, because Rainbow Six Siege is a very cool game, and even though I'm not good at it, I would love to see it succeed. I want all of these games to succeed. By the way, guys, if anyone's wondering, I'm not a Ubisoft hater. I'm only a Ubisoft hater of the current iteration of Ubisoft and them making dogshit single-player games that are not good, that are worse than every single game that they made previously, and that have single-player microtransactions, that have single-player fucking battle passes and more. I hate current Ubisoft. I've seen Ubisoft at a real peak. I always find it funny, guys, by the way. Like I said, if I opened up my messages just from Ubisoft superfans, Ubisoft absolute shit-eaters. I'm not talking about normal fans that like Shadows. I have no qualms with that. If you like the game, play the game, enjoy the game. Totally fine. I'm talking about the people that are upsetty spaghetti. If I open up my messages right now, I have no less than 10 people that are Ubisoft superfans that have called me slurs. I cannot open my messages on Twitter. I don't even check my messages on Twitter, except every so often I try to just, get a general number for how pissed off I've made people. Ubisoft superfans have gone through an actual cycle this time. AC Shadows is a financial success. People were saying this like crazy. And then they said, players, biggest ratio in history, with the major, silly ratio that, to be fair, it was a very big social media post, but it didn't amount to anything. And then finally, we sold the company to China. This is a span of 2 days. 2 days. It's always crazy to see that. It is always crazy to see that. Always remember, social media doesn't mean shit. Always remember, nothing but actual sales of a game company doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. If you really don't like the game, you don't have to play it. But at the same time, you don't see the potential, you're going to give your opinion on it. Well, no, that's the thing. So let me go back to the comment, and I see what you're saying, but here's the big issue here. Every single time a very biased person makes the statement, if you don't like it, don't buy it, what happens? The people who don't like it don't buy it. And then the game that they're talking about ends up being a failure. The don't like it, don't buy it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't work. Because if people don't like it, they won't buy it, and then the game fails, and then people are fired, the game company closes. If you don't like it, you should talk about it openly and respectfully so you can improve the game and make it better so people do end up liking it and then buying it. That's what I think. However, that is way too long to write in a tweet. But that's how it should be, in my opinion, Duality. Like, I don't know if I'm off basis on that, but I think that makes more sense, because I always think that even when a company is doing wrong, they can improve. I know that's bold, and the people that agree with me about Ubisoft will hate me saying that, because I'm someone who thinks Ubisoft can be better. A lot of people don't even like that. A lot of people on the other side, the people that are rating, Assassin's Creed Shadows 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, those people are hella biased. They don't like me either. And the reason is that I think Ubisoft can be better. I think they can get back to their original state if people hold their feet to the fire enough and they get strong enough to, realize it. Saying if you see a potential in the game, then obviously give opinions. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that everyone should see potential even in things that they don't like. Like, I'll rate a game. I'm always honest in my ratings. If I don't like a game, I'll say that I don't like it and why and how they can improve. And like, I'll just, even if it's a shit game, I will hope they improve. I've played many shit games. I will always hope they improve. I mean, I'll say I think the company is heading the wrong direction. I think the leadership is wrong, but like, I'll never try to harass devs. I'll always hope for better. Maybe I'm an optimist, and maybe that's rare these days. I don't know, but like, I always want these companies to do better. Anyways, that's a long diatribe. But chat, let me know if you're watching this video. Let me know, how did you like this breakdown of the entire situation for Ubisoft and them creating what amounts to Ubisoft 2 and selling 25% of Ubisoft 2, which is Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, to Tencent? Do you guys agree with this analysis? Do you guys disagree? Do you guys think Ubisoft will be able to make this game company of Ubisoft 2 into success? Do you think they'll be able to make big inroads in creating better Assassin's Creed games, better Far Cry games, better Rainbow Six games? I would definitely love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And out of those three properties, which one is your favorite? And if you're a fan of a game in Ubisoft 1, the original Ubisoft, that is now kind of in really, really dire straits and might have their teams shredded in the upcoming year in terms of layoffs, which game is that? And how worried are you? I definitely want to hear, because like I said, for example, for me, I'm a big Division guy. I didn't really play too much of Division 2, but I love Division 1, and I even played a significant amount of Division 2. I really don't want Division to die, but I don't see any other way this could happen. I really do hope that it gets better. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's my answer. Division is the one I'm really worried about. I really do wish there was a Division 3. I know that, all that work was stopped about a year ago, but I really do hope it comes back, though it looks incredibly much less likely now, more than ever. Also, I do really want to see a new Watch Dogs game. Like a new open world fun Watch Dogs game, especially with like AI becoming stronger and more worrying, and dystopian futures coming closer and closer. Like, I think this is like prime time for a Watch Dogs game. I don't know about you guys. Like, I don't know if we have any Watch Dogs fans in chat, but like, dude, Watch Dogs 1? Like, 2 was a little rough, but Watch Dogs 1 was a banger. Like, man, where's that series? I really wish we could get one of those, but like, that's in Ubisoft 1, and now I'm really worried about the future of that entire series. But like I said, let me know in your comments below if you do like this type of content, like these types of more deeper, real, no bullshit discussions. Make sure to give this video a like and a comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can catch more of this awesome content in the coming days, weeks, and months. I create all kinds of content, whether it's a company I do like, don't like, a game I do like or don't like. I love to showcase good indies and everything between. See you guys regardless in the next video, hopefully. Take care and have a great night.